Robbie here with Everyday Athletes, and today I want to show you 5 tips that will get you deadlifting much better today. So this is a really important thing to know about deadlift that often gets overlooked. And it's basically, do you have the functional range to even do the deadlift in the first place? So here's how you check. You take a dowel and a band and you tie the dowel to your back. So this dowel is basically representing your spine. Trying to keep your spine not exactly straight because your spine has curves, but in line with the dowel. So you want the bottom of it against your pelvis, the middle against between your shoulder blades, and then if you can, you get your head back to it. If you're in this position and you can't get your head back, don't tilt back to get there. Just keep it to where you can, fairly comfortably. And then through your hips, you hinge. If you can maintain those points of contact and reach the bar, then you know you have the functional range to deadlift from this height. If not, you're going to need to raise the bar up off the ground a little bit. Right now this bar is the same height as it would be if the plates are on. This is just to allow you to have a better view. If you're getting to here, and that's as far as you go, you don't want to then round your back to reach down. That's just going to put you in a weak position. What you need to do is raise the bar up. And that's okay because this height is actually pretty arbitrary. The height of the plate was essentially designed so that if the bar falls on somebody, it's not going to crush their skull. But that doesn't mean that it had your mobility in mind. So if you can't reach the bar from that position, what you need to do is lift the bar up higher to you. And think about it like this. If you were 4 foot tall, that bar would be higher up on your body. If you were 7 foot tall, the bar would be lower down on your body. So the individual has to figure out what's correct for them and not just work from this arbitrary spot. So let's say you've established that your range only allows you down to about here. So you can't reach the bar now without bending your spine, which you don't want to do. So what do? Okay, instead of doing incorrect technique just to get the bar off the ground, what you need to do is bring the bar up to suit your mobility. That looks like this. So you can use yoga blocks, you can use these plyo boxes, you can use step aerobic steps. Doesn't really matter, as long as it's not going to roll off, as long as it's able to hold the weight and it raises the bar up. So that is now going to allow you to actually get down to that bar without bending your back. So people might say, what about full range of motion? Full range of motion is context dependent. You have to work with where you're at. And if you just don't have the mobility and flexibility to pick the bar off the ground at the height that it is, then you have to change something so you can do the workout effectively. There's no point contorting yourself into a position you're not able for just because it's full range of motion. That won't get you anywhere. So instead of full range of motion, think full range of control. And the context also depends on what you're using. If I was using a big kettlebell that brought the handle up here, I would be doing full range of motion for that kettlebell deadlift. If I was deadlifting dumbbells off the ground, they'll be much lower down. I would have to change my form to get that full range of motion. So there's always a context to be considered with it. And the most important context is, are you safe and are you able to progress? Sometimes you got to change things up to suit you so you can progress better. And eventually your mobility will increase and your flexibility will increase and your strength will increase so you can get further down to the ground with better form. A very useful way to make sure you're doing a deadlift that's correct for your mobility is to do it from the top down. So technically a deadlift should come off the floor, but for all intents and purposes, this will help you the same way, just as it's going to work for your mobility better. So you start with it up on a rack or a bench or something where you can lift it off, and then you hinge from here. So now you're just going to stop where it suits you. You're still working through your hips, you're still going to work your glutes, your back, your hamstrings. But now you're not trying to get into a position that doesn't work for you. You're going to where you need to stop so that is perfect for what you need. Over time, you'll increase the range and you'll eventually be able to get all the way down. A very common issue you'll see with people is they're squatting their deadlift. So they're trying to sit down with the bar. The major difference between squats and deadlifts is that with squats, your knees bend a lot and your butt comes low, shoulders stay high. With a deadlift, your knees don't bend too much, your hips move a lot, your hips stay high, and your shoulders come down low. So one way you can make sure you're doing that is stand in front of a bench. If you can't drive your knees forward, you can't squat. So therefore, you're going to have to hinge. So you push your hips back, you keep your back straight, you bring this bar straight down. Once you've gotten used to doing that, you turn it around, and instead of the bench blocking you from moving, it's now reminding you not to move your knees forward. So you keep your calves in contact with the bench, and you do that move again. Okay, so you've gone from the bench doing the work for you. Just to make sure you go into that position, once you're used to it, then the bench just reminds you to do the work yourself. And here's where you can start to go heavy with it and really focus on moving through the hips. Another very common mistake you'll see is not engaging the lats and the back of the shoulders to keep the bar close to your body. So if you think about holding something, if you hold it close, you can hold it for a lot longer. You're stronger in this position. If you're holding the same weight further away from your body, it's going to feel heavier. The same thing if you're deadlifting and you're having the bar out here, but where you'll see it more often is when people are putting the bar down. They let it kind of swing out in front of their body. So now it's further away from the fulcrum point, which is my hips, so it's putting much more stress on your back. You literally want this bar against your shins before you start, and then you pull it up your shins as you come up. It should always be tight against your body. Now to overload that technique a little bit to make you stronger at it, you can tie a band around the bar and then tie it to something else that's in front, so that's pulling that bar away from you. That means that you have to work a little harder for your back muscles to keep that bar tight to your body. Whatever you work hard at doing, you get better at. So there you have it. You can start using those tips today, and it should take you from feeling weak and awkward with your deadlift to much stronger and building your potential for future strength. If you enjoyed that video, go to our channel. We got lots more uploaded.